Welcome to the Life Happens podcast. My name is Rabia.
Hello.
And guys, today I am excited. I say the same thing every week. I'm excited because, the past 2 weeks we talked about dating, part one and part two. And this week I felt like it was like the natural flow of things to talk about marriage. But before we get into the topic, I want to remind you guys that Life Happens is a podcast where we combine our spirituality with regular life create a beautiful balance and thus resulting in Life Happens. And today, guys, we have our reoccurring guest, Brian Jones. I'm going to tell you your whole government name, okay? Your entire government name. Uh, I actually could not resist Brian Jones. Let me stop. I'm tickled. Anyway, before we get into the subject, Kim, how was your week or your weekend? And how are you feeling today, Kim?
Um, have a little stomach issues going on, but we prayed about it, so I'm praying that it's going to settle. So if I flee in a minute, you'll know why.
No.
Uh, no fleeing. I had a really great week. Um, I talked to my granddaughter this week. It was her
Mhm.
birthday. She turned 12. She lives in Tennessee. That was really great to connect with her.
Cool.
Also, me and William went on a trail walk, our very first one. Remember last week I told y'all I was thinking about it, so we actually did it.
Actually, I
And
saw the pictures
so
on Facebook.
oh,
I think
did you? Okay,
we
great.
went to like Cedar. We didn't go to Cedar something.
We went to
Cedar.
Cedar Hill Park.
Okay.
So I would recommend anyone who wants to go on a trail walk, go to Cedar Hill Park. There's like 5 different trails out there that range from like 6 miles, 3 miles to 1 mile, and it's pet friendly and all of that. And it was just really great. So we have decided that every Saturday we are actually going to pick a different trail in the Metroplex and go and just get our hike on. It's very
No,
exciting.
I thought that was actually pretty cool. You going? I used to go hiking. I think it was last summer to Cedar
Mhm.
Ridge Reserve or something like that. They were so
Oh,
cool.
yeah, I saw
Loved
that,
it.
Cedar Ridge Reserve. I said that's one of the ones I wanna go on as well.
You have to go. It's bomb. Like I
Wow.
loved it. So I want to read a comment. Brian, hi Brian. Thank you for watching. Um, yeah, I not you, Brian. Brian, I want to say Brian's government name, Brian Williams. I'm saying your government name.
Government name.
Since we have two Brian's,
You
my bad. And I'm not seeing your comments on streaming. I'm
dismissed.
actually seeing it on Facebook. So, but yeah, the I sweated a lot when I went.
We loved it.
Yeah, it's
Take water. Yes, take water. Yeah, we walked 3.2 miles. It was great.
nice. So, what about you, Brian? What did you do this past weekend? Besides, I saw your post cheat for 3 days. Three
That's what I
days.
did. That's exactly what I did. I went overboard. I'm only supposed to have one cheat day, and I had cheap food Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday,
Whoa.
um, and I only had one healthy meal, if you will. I had a cod salad Saturday night, but that was only because I was like, I'm gonna, start eating healthy Saturday night. But that didn't happen. I continued Sunday, and I've got a layer of cheese fat that I need to get rid of. That's what I'm doing 2 days this week. And then, watch basketball. Went to a racial reconciliation meeting, a group of people that are using Be the Bridge as a gateway to study some history, um, study a book called The Color of Compromise by Jamar Tisby, and talk about racial issues, get very honest and open, and find solutions to problems with race involving race in this country. So yeah, I've got a lot of fatty fat of cheese, and yeah, got to get it down.
Brian, I'm all about, when you were talking about that, I'm all about starting kids out young, like when they're little, talking about like I bought my niece, she's 3 years old. I bought her the ABCs of Black history.
Of
You know,
course.
if we start when they're young, they're
Hmm.
not so like thrown back when they hear something.
Right.
Just, Emmett Tillman, they're like, "That happened?" You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so if we teach them when they're little all these things, I just feel like sometimes we miss that as African American parents. We have a lot going on in our own daily lives, and just keeping that keeping that Black history alive
Yeah.
is so important, I think.
Yeah, it is because the school system doesn't teach you doesn't teach anything.
Yeah.
Uh, the school system is totally orchestrated. What we learn in history by white supremacy. I mean, those are proven facts, historical facts, regardless of the Confederacy to the lost cause, all the way to now. So there's no such thing as, well, this is the Black history is going to be in the history books, because Black history is basically a crime scene, if you will, of proof that could convict and that could arrest and convict basically white supremacy as a whole. The entire foundation of what this country is about um, is buried in Black history. So of course they're not going to teach that in school. So yes, it's very important that you start at home. You know, my mother started at home with me. The only places that most people learn, or that most
Yeah.
Black people learn about their own culture, is through the home, through church, and through some part of the community.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's definitely not learned in school. So you're doing a great job teaching your children starting at home.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can't see. I'm trying to, guys, I'm having technical difficulties. Okay, here we
Yeah,
go.
There
that's
we
why
go.
you're throwing people government names out there. That's why.
I
No,
know,
but
right?
honestly, I can hear. Hey, stop now. I'm Rabia Rebecca. So
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
not ashamed of my name. Shoot. Anyway, Ben says, good evening, Rabia, Kim, and Brian. Hi.
Hello.
And then
Hello.
he says, Black history is 365. It really is.
It is every freaking day.
Brian is, good evening, ladies. Hi. So let me tell you what I did. Now, you may not agree with what I did, but my daughter came home every day last week complaining about kids at school. And I was getting really irritated because I know she has a slick mouth, but she's not using her tools, okay, at school very well. So I gave her the go ahead use to use everything she got, basically. I told her to stand in her truth and people will back down. And you know what? I got a call from a teacher today.
I bet.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're not gonna be bullied, baby. You use your words. And so one of the things that was mentioned, like who's monitoring, what's going on in the playground as well as in the classroom, because you don't see what's going on, but you now suddenly hear what she's saying. Oh, okay. And I tell Aliyah, you're not gonna get into trouble, baby. Use your words. And so I am very proud. She's gonna, get a dinner this week because she used her words. Because I was tired of hearing of this now. Because I can't fight with 11-year-olds. Like, what do I look
Right.
like in school? So I'm really, really proud of her for standing up for herself. Yeah. So, Kim, well, this is our Dear Abby segment,
Yes.
Dear Grace segment, or Dear Kim segment. So Kim's going to read a scenario for us, and then we'll break that down. So go ahead, please, Kim. And this is a guy writing in about some issues that he has with females. We'll just say that.
All right. All right. Here's the scenario. I'll try to make a long story short without getting myself emotional. I was married 20 years to a mentally abusive bipolar woman with personality disorder, etc. Anyway, 3 years ago, she told me that she does not love me anymore. This was after she met someone else. I'm now a single dad of two, ages 16 and 21, zero dates, been depressed and just working on my home. And a friend let me know a very attractive younger woman was interested in me. I'm 49 and she's 33 with a daughter. I get very mixed signals from her. I try and jokingly flirt and no response. I chat off and on during the day. She is sweet, etc. And at the end, she says, I'm really enjoying our conversations. Doesn't it sound like I'm just a friend? I was really hoping for more. I've been down on myself for a long time, really long time. I tried asking exactly what she's looking for. She doesn't say anything. Friend claims she has no filters. She doesn't care what she says. Can someone chime in? Could use some advice. I'm building up a relationship in my mind that looks like it won't happen. I'm sick and tired of being down. I'm at the point I need someone. Nothing else is filling this void.
Whew, there's a lot to unpack.
Yes.
So who would like to
There's a
start?
lot to unpack.
Oh, now you're mocking the accents. Okay.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. I'm practicing my accent.
Oh, okay. Brian, can we start with you, please? What are your thoughts?
Let's unpack the first couple of things. A man married to a mentally abusive bipolar woman for 20 years seems like to me that he stayed too long. And you're going to hear me say that more than once because we're going to get to something. Um, and then it says, she told him that she didn't love him anymore, but that was after she met someone else, right? Um, but it goes on to say that he was depressed and just working from his home. So just that part right there is going to segue into two big words that I'm going to use probably too much in this whole deal: self
Mhm.
love, right? Um,
That's good.
when people are in relationships or marriages and they're with someone who is mistreating them, it is human nature and perfectly okay to recognize that mistreatment. It is not okay to try to change that person because you can't. We did another podcast, like 2 weeks ago, try to change that person. And I know, people try to do the humbling, or not the humbling, but the nurturing thing and go, I love this person and I want them to be better and I want them to do better. But really, it's kind of like a double turn. And yeah, you want them to be better, but then you want them to be better for you so your relationship can be better.
Hmm.
And through this whole entire thing, especially when it goes on to him throwing out hints and her not really, her not being, reciprocating that flirting or whatever. He's looking for happiness outside of himself because the happiness that he thought he had in his marriage is gone now, and his depression's high, and his rhythm or whatever he's doing per day is it. If you put your happiness, the responsibility of your happiness in the laps of other people, if that other person ever goes away, you have no clue what to do, right? Because your self love is goes from, well, it's down here anyway. But if you don't have any self love, then you will be looking for love. You will be looking for happiness in every other place instead of yourself. And that's what I see all through this. If you stay too long, a lot of us do that. I mean, you recognize that someone's mistreating you, but then you have to ask yourself, why am I staying in this situation? And I know that marriages are not easy to get out of. You know what I'm saying? If there are financial things, I mean, you're talking about kids, and he said the word abusive. So every abusive relationship isn't just, oh, well, I'm leaving today and I'll never see you again. No, some people have to strategically get out of
Right.
abusive relationships, right? So, but the lack of self love normally is a indicator of why someone stayed too long, whether that be 6 months or 6 years or 20 years. Lack of self love, in my opinion, is the entire thing that this gentleman is lacking.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, I love that. That was really great. Um, my that's my daughter behind me, y'all. Coming down the
Hi, daughter.
stairs. um, my take on it is that he seems like he's very lonely, of course. And I think sometimes when you're really lonely, sometimes you make rash decisions. And it's like Brian said, the whole self love thing, you have to kind of get to the place where you love yourself. And he doesn't seem like he's in the place to where he can enter into a really good
Mhm.
relationship at this point. Um, like he said, he's just trying to look for something to fill the void. As far as marriages go, I don't know if you can stay in something. I mean, I've had friends and family members that have been in bad marriages and have stayed. Some because of the children, some because
Yeah.
it becomes routine. The marriage just is just a routine thing, you know. And even though you don't find satisfaction in it, you get used to the routine and you've been in it so long. It's like, well, I've been in this marriage for 40 years. I'm in it now. I'm not getting out of it because this is just there's no love there anymore. We've grown apart. We've done all these things, but we've been together for so long. I don't want to
Start over.
start over. So, yeah, I don't know if all marriages should end because I've seen people who have been together for 40 years sleeping in separate bedrooms. They're friends, but they're not, marital friends, but they stay in their marriages until one of them one of them died, you know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know. Yes, I think if you're in a bad marriage, abusive relationships, get out. Run as fast
Right.
as you can out the door, don't look back. Do whatever you can to get out of it. Call around, you know, if someone ever comes and tells me that they're in an abusive relationship, the first thing I say is get out. Get
Right.
Mhm.
out. I don't say stay, try to work on it. Well, maybe try to hear the reason why you should stay. No, get out. And I will give you places that you can go. I will look up places. I will find places that you can
Right.
go. I will tell you to get with a family member that you can go stay with, but get out of this situation
No,
because
true.
abuse is wrong.
True.
But like I said, I've seen other marriages that have been going on for 50, 60 years and they're friends. They're just friends and they're still married. And
Oh Lord,
that's just their marriage. So,
that's a lot.
not healthy. I don't know if it's a healthy marriage, but they've
Mm-mm.
stayed in it.
Yeah. So I'd like to add what I hear. First of all, his wife did him a favor by leaving him, okay? Because living
Yes.
with that, I mean, because you could look at it so many ways. I feel like she did him
Yes.
a favor. He should thank the Lord every day because she was
Mhm.
not there, and
Just
she's
mentally,
gonna
she
do the
wasn't
same. Yeah, she's gonna do the same thing to dude. I mean, really,
Yep.
he
The next.
actually good for her, good for him. But when I read this, I think about rejection, abandonment, and I think about his attachment style because there's four attachment styles. He anxiously attaches, which is why he feels he's putting so much emphasis on this woman he's talking to, right? He has this void he wants to fill that no human being, hi husband, that no
tell us
human being can fill. He needs to go back to bed. He doesn't need to be dating because now he can't
No.
even enjoy this friendship because he keeps thinking about, well, if she's saying this, then she means this. There's too much anxiety going on here. But guy,
yeah, too
what you
much.
need to do is take a moment, step back, and turn into yourself and figure out why am I reacting to this new woman like this? Because you are going to run her off. You're too needy because there's these holes in you that you think she's going to fill. She's not going to fill it. Something the Lord showed me about when we are in relationships, or even if you're trying to know somebody, we make idols of people and things. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing that. And God is not going to honor that because the Bible says God is a jealous God, right? You can't put anything above him. And so a lot of times when people do those things and they make people idols, you really need to go back to basics and say, hey, wait, something's wrong with me. Not that person's, not that person's fault. He needs to go and heal. He really
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he's very trauma bonded. Um,
yeah,
if
Oh,
he
yeah.
if he stayed in there 20 years, you know, mentally. So let's just take the bipolar part out. So
okay,
let's just say she became bipolar later. She just didn't wake up mentally abusive in 10 years in or 5 years in. She was mentally abusive to
the whole
begin
time.
with. There is
Mhm.
there is a misconception, and it's really just a lie. And I'm not going to say lie, but it's really just something that people tell themselves to make light or to make themselves feel a little better if something ends. Oh, well, I just woke up and we didn't know anybody anymore, or he or she changed on me
She
after two
did.
years of marriage. No, they didn't change at
Okay.
all. They showed you who they were.
Right,
Euphoria, the euphoria you had when you were dating or when you were in a relationship, blocked everything, and you took uh, um, that abusiveness as, oh, well, they were protecting me, or that abusiveness, or, oh, they were just looking out for me, or you start changing what really is into what you want to see, and then
right,
you keep on going, and then when it magnifies itself through marriage, because whatever happened in marriage happened in the relationship, just the marriage magnifies it by 1,000, right?
Yes.
right.
So So there's no surprise in this. So she was mentally abusive prior to the marriage. Therefore, he's stuck in it for various ways. And like he says down here, um, that he gets mixed signals. Pressure is reciprocal. Like, there's some posts on social media that I've seen that says, when a man applies pressure, yada yada yada. Okay, if I apply pressure, you don't apply it back, then there's no more pressure to be applied, right? And
Right.
and once you know from somebody, if there's mixed signals, there's one thing as a man that you can do. You can be very intentional with your question. You can be very intentional with your approach on hey, look, I'm feeling you, I like you, we talk, we do this, and I would like to date you, and he could say date you and only you. That's who I'm trying to get to know and get to learn about. How do you feel about that? And now it's her turn to either reciprocate that or
Right.
not. And if she says anything but, hey, yeah, I want to do the same thing, I want to date you and only you. If she starts hesitating somewhere, boom. Okay, well, bet. Do you think? Now,
Exactly.
if he wants to try to compete, she hesitates. That means there's something that she's questioning. If he wants to dig in deeper and try to find out, but all of that is that hesitation, that caution, or whatever. She may be dealing with other stuff. I'm not sure. She may want to date other people. I'm not sure. But there's too much hesitation. Once he sees that, he should move on. But he can't see any of that because he's trying to fill his void. He has no self-love. Once you disturb my peace, and once there's no intentional reciprocation of interest and pressure, I'm gone.
Out. I'm out.
I'm done. I'm not fixing to sit around the house worried, having a whole bunch of anxiety at work or at home or in
Right.
my in my leisure, going, uh, 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 uh,
Right.
and
And
I'm ready to call her, or is she gonna call me? I called her twice. She hadn't picked up the phone. I'm not finna work now.
that's anxiety. And the truth of the matter is, he's not in a position to be pursuing anybody. He needs to pursue himself, honestly.
Yeah, he
Like,
really
telling
Yeah.
you this, like, you're not ready for that. And I think a lot of times I've noticed or I've seen, like, if a man gets divorced, typically a man will be in a relationship before his ex-wife is in a relationship. Because I noticed they can't express that emotion, right? We are different as women. We'll still take a time out, but you do get women that jump from relationship to relationship as well. I'm not saying they don't, but that's what I've noticed. I've seen they get married very soon afterwards. I know of two people that they've done it, and now they're suffering because nobody took the time out to say, wait a minute, what type of wife or husband was I in that marriage? What made me do this? And kind of like work on it. But dude is actually, to be honest, and now this might sound crazy. When I was reading this, he was getting on my nerves. Like, he was. I was like, no, sir.
Yeah.
You sounding like you really don't value yourself, and
Nah.
no one's gonna take you seriously because you like a vampire, like a spiritual vampire. You want to suck the life out of somebody because you need that constant validation,
exactly.
and you can't look to people to justify who you are. No. So dude needs to chill. That's
One
my
thing
opinion.
one thing that Brian said I thought was so right is that marriage will magnify things in
Facts.
your life. When you get married, you will learn things about yourself that maybe you ignored or didn't see before. It's like when you're married, it's like, oh, I have abandonment issues because um I can't go without my family. When my family is not here with me, I have anxiety. And so I have some sort of abandonment issues that I
Right.
need to deal with. And I never even knew I had them until you get married. You know what I'm saying? I talked to a friend who was telling me that. He was like, yeah, I didn't even know I had abandonment issues till when my wife would leave the house. And I would get very
Wow.
anxious until she came back home, And so I realized that I needed some deliverance in that area, and how marriage will magnify everything in your life,
Right.
if you're unhappy, if you're choosing that, if you're making that person the soul of your life and that person provides your happiness.
An idol. Here we go with the
Yeah,
idolatry.
I
Yeah.
know. And when that person messes up, it fails you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just, man, you're crushed, you
So
know?
yeah, people don't break your heart, really. They break your expectations, which leads to your heart. But they
Exactly.
don't break your heart. I hear people say that a lot. I've even said that before. No, ain't nobody broke my heart. My expectations was broken. Um, on that note, Kim, you've been married for how long?
I've been married going on 25 years.
Girl, congratulations. That is a blessing.
I
Good.
know. I'm so
Man.
happy.
So
Yes.
what would you say? Let me put this question up. What would you say are the benefits of marriage for men, for women?
The benefits of marriage. I was thinking about this for a couple of days. Having someone, I actually sent you guys a quote that I really love
Mhm.
about a person that it validates your life, because that person is he is there to witness your whole life. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of validates your life. Just having someone who cares about you, your ups and downs, your highs, your lows, and is still there, loving you, uh, partnering with you. I can't imagine how hard it is to be a single parent. I can't imagine what that's like, because I've, of course, never been a single parent. But having William as my partner in raising our children, even though they're adults, even going through the adulthood of of helping our children, even in adulthood, and having William as a
Mhm.
partner for that is so great. I couldn't imagine what it would be without it. I know women go through it every day, all day long, but it's great to have a partner, you know,
It
that sees me
is.
and validates me. I feel like William validates me. So
Like winter time, it's really nice to have a husband.
yeah, it's nice snuggle. It's nice to
No,
snuggle with
so you can
children
put
outside.
so you can put your cold feet in the back.
Yes. Now the sex question. Yeah, it's good to have sex whenever I want. No condemnation behind
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wait, which brings
You
up
know.
a valid point. So Kim and I were talking earlier before you joined us, Brian, and we were talking about like Christian folks. They will get married to not sin.
Yeah, just
Come
sex.
on.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Kim, that is the worst idea. I'm gonna say something, maybe not with the thing, and I mean, like, but I would rather sin than get married because I want to have sex.
I know.
Because a lifetime. Can you imagine you attract to someone, you have sex with them, and then you marry them, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell did I do? What did I do, Jesus? Where could I have repented and moved on? Because I might not be your person, so I need to get married or don't
And it's great sex, and it's like, okay, now she doesn't want to. I'm not. Now the sexual desire is not being fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? But I'm stuck in this marriage that
yeah,
I'm not
because he
being
does
fulfilled in.
right. Because he doesn't put his clothes in the hamper basket. You see what I'm saying? Because things are gonna happen. So guys out here that are listening, do not get married because you want to have relations. Don't let that be the only reason, because that is a trap. And if your pastor tells you that, I'm sorry, pastors, but if your pastor tells you that, no.
Don't do
Anyway,
it.
I thought that was kind of funny when we were talking about that earlier. So what do you think are the benefits for men in marriage? Because I'm asking this specifically because I had a conversation this week with a man. And he felt that, well, anyway, I want to hear what you think. What are the benefits for men in marriage?
Okay, I can't talk about all men. I'm just going to
Right.
talk about what I would think. I ask this question a lot to people. Um,
Oh, before
you
you
know,
start, Brian, are you married?
no,
Okay. Have you been married?
no.
Okay.
So, a lot, just the basic fundamental part of a relationship, old school terms, boyfriend, girlfriend, the common denominator is friend, right? And I ask people all the time, if you have a best friend, who is it and how long that you two have been best friends? And they tell me the length. And normally it's a pretty long time. And then I say, well, how many times have you and your best friend been in a disrespectful argument? And it's always a very low number, right? It's like either zero or maybe one or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely do people say they've gotten into a physical altercation with their best friend. And I go, okay, then why does that not swing over into relationships with the opposite sex? Because you skip the friendship part, right? When
Mm-hmm.
people are dating, they totally skip the friendship part, and they rush too much, like this gentleman would be doing in our example. You know, um, they would rush too much and try to fill voids and things like that. But all of that to say is, if you have a best friend for life, someone that you were dating, that you were becoming friends with, being best friends, swinging that into a relationship, and swinging that into a marriage. Marrying your best friend is so fun. Like, that stuff is fun. I think that would be awesome to
Great.
to come into the house. Let's just say I got finished working out, and then of course we would know each other. My wife would know, my girlfriend would know, anyone that I'm dating would know that I love to like play around. Like, if my wife came around the corner with this big water gun, going, "Yeah, sucker, yeah, remember what you did to me earlier?" That is just all of the benefits
Right.
of a best friend of the opposite sex. My best friend being a woman, my best friend being my wife, my best friend being my lover, my best friend being, and all of that would just be fun every single day. She would know me, I would know her, bouncing
Mhm.
off ideas, of support, uh, uh, um, encouragement. If we saw something, I could run it by her. She gives me her analysis, and I do the same. I mean, all of that stuff. Just, that's a huge benefit. Huge benefit of being a life partner with your best friend.
When you're
Okay.
married, you actually become one person, right?
Yeah.
So if a
Yes.
friend, if my girlfriend says, "Oh, I don't like your hair today," then I'm like, "Oh, well, I may say something crass to them, right? But then the person that I am in covenant with, who I'm tied, I mean, we have become one.
Hmm.
And then he comes in and he says, "I don't like your hair day." Well, then I'm like, "Wait a minute. What's wrong with why don't you like it? Why don't you?" And it's because we're one, and it means something different because this person you have given your whole heart to, which you haven't done that with a best friend, but with
Hmm.
a husband you have. And so when they say something, I don't know how I can explain that,
So
but
has
No,
your
you're looking at a mirror. I know exactly what you're saying. It's like a mirror. When you when you
yes.
when you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, let's just say you had a bad hair day. Like, women have bad hair days.
no, we
You,
don't.
when you have
I don't know what you're talking about.
not, yeah, whatever you said that not too long ago. Oh my God, my hair, right? If you have a bad hair day, you're doing everything
Oh,
you can to fix it. You're being critical, overly,
right,
it affects you and you try to fix it. So if your spouse was like, I don't know about that hair you got going on, it's just like your spouse is like a mirror, and you literally take that into a very high consideration. You're like, oh, it is? Let me go fix
right.
this. So I see exactly what you're saying. When you're one with somebody,
Yeah.
it is a like I said, it's a mirror. It is a their what they say is not just a consideration. It's like, oh, you're telling me something to actually I need to look at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And of course,
Exactly.
if you're really one and you're in love with your son, you're in this covenant, you know that person's not going to say anything to hurt you, or not going to say anything to expose you. They're actually saying things to hurt you. So if I told my wife, hey, baby, your hair's kind of looking a little, she's like, oh, help me, she should know that I'm trying to help her, not hurt her in any type of
Yeah,
way.
because she's a
Right.
representative of you and you don't want her to look
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
Ivan Dawkins says, "What up?" I can see. Hey, Ivan. So I want to come from a different angle. I spoke to a guy this week, and he was talking about. I asked him a question because I was thinking about the show. what are the benefits of a man getting married, and he didn't see the benefit. He said financially it's not a benefit, and he's a divorced man, but and he said that being divorced financially was the issue. He said dating, men spend money, so he didn't see the benefits of getting married or being married. And but when I heard him, I realized, though, as I listened to him, there's more to that story that he's not telling, because that's
Of course,
clearly there's bitterness in that.
of course.
Because what's that scripture we're talking about, Kim? Genesis.
Two
What was
eight.
it?
What
Hold
was
on,
it?
let me find it. Because you said, was it 3?
Was it 2:18?
Let me get that. And he was coming from a different perspective, which I thought was interesting, because this is the same person that complains about when they have headaches. He wishes somebody was there to take care of him.
No,
Girl,
there's a backstory. There's a
Yeah,
backstory.
yeah.
here's the
Somebody
backstory.
tells the
He's
whole
saying
story
he's
at
not
the end.
sane. And plus, two, he's been married multiple times. So, yeah, you do feel the strain of the finances. I mean, you have multiple kids, huh? So, you know what I'm saying? But I thought it was really interesting, because I find it interesting because he's not a young man, right? He's somebody that's way older. So I was like, he's probably going to end up by himself.
Well, financially, it's actually a plus because if you're in a relationship with somebody, let's just say you're in the engagement phase, and you're about to get married. You take two electric bills and put them in one house. You take two cable bills and you put them in one house. You take two of all of the splitting bills and you put them in one house.
Yeah.
So actually, it's a plus financially to get married if you want to talk about that, because you no longer do you have to pay two of everything. You actually, even your insurance, your car insurance, you take those two rates that you're paying and you put them in one, and it's actually cheaper. So from a financial standpoint, now if he's talking
Right.
about, well, divorce is expensive, yeah, if you keep getting divorced, of course that's
Right.
going to be expensive,
Agreed.
and if you've got multiple kids by multiple women and they've got you on child support or something like that, of course that's going to be expensive. But no, in the actuality, from a practical matter, it's actually less expensive. It's an advantage to get married financially because you take everything that you're spending separately and you put it together, and it's actually less expensive.
Do you guys think it's okay if you are getting married, you are in the let's pick out the flowers, let's do all this,
Mhm.
even maybe even in the dating stage, but you know that you guys are moving toward marriage, to do a little background check? Do you guys think that's
Of
okay?
course, but
No,
that should be
nothing
done.
wrong with that.
That should be done. People should be honest. If like I ask those type of questions, hey, look, I'm not trying to get in your. Let's just say I'm dating someone and it goes into a relationship.
Mhm.
Before or in right in this in the initial parts of the relationship, I'm asking questions like, "Hey, what's your credit score?" You know
Are you
why?
really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
because I'm not.
important.
I am not in the interest of surprises, and I'm not in the interest of changing people. I want to know you. Y'all have heard me say this before. I don't want to see your avatar. I don't want to see you fake the funk. If your credit score is 600, but you're faking it like it's 750, and every time we have a conversation about finances, you're talking up you're talking up yourself as if you've got an 800 credit. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the truth, because if I'm interested in you and you tell me that your credit score is 600, all I want to do, my next question is, well, would you mind sharing some things that led up to your score being, 600? Not to fault her, but to
Mhm.
go, well, if we keep going, maybe I can help you with that. Like maybe
Right.
I can help you get your credit score up. Or if my credit score is lower than hers, maybe she can help me get mine. It's a team thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not,
Yeah.
well, your credit score is 600 and I don't want you. What if there's a backstory that validates that something happened in her life,
Right.
something very traumatic? It doesn't always have to be bad.
Agree.
So I'm asking very hardcore questions, not to judge, not to find a question where I go, ooh, that's the one that I'm running away from. You know what I'm saying? This dating thing's over. No. I'm asking really pinpointed questions in a dynamic and organic conversation to just get to know fully who she is.
But I want to add to that. We need to be asking for medical checkups, background
Yeah,
checkups. We need
of
to know your
course.
history. And also, I'm just gonna say this. People need to, when it gets to that time, for you have relations and you get married, people need to go get medical tests. You know what I'm saying?
Of
They
course.
need to get tested because I don't, because men, you'll
Of course.
carry stuff longer than we could carry. Like we'll know when stuff is wrong with us, but a man can hold on to diseases and not even know.
Yeah.
Now you'll
You
know. I
know,
read medical records all day, so whew, that's in the forefront of my mind, right?
Well, I have a
yep.
friend that got married, and she's
Uh-huh.
been married for, like, maybe about 5 or 6 years, but they're having financial problems because she did not do the background check. She won't trust him. She was in love.
Right.
She let the love just kinda take over, but now, they're talking about, bankruptcy, her and her husband,
Wait,
because
Kim.
not her, she went in it
How
with
old was she when she got married?
she was 28.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because you said she was 40 something, baby.
No.
Okay, so she was
She was like
young.
28 years old, first
Okay.
marriage, but now 6 years into the marriage, she's like, "Man, we have to file for bankruptcy, and, we just I didn't know his credit was that bad, we've been
Mhm.
trying to, but I just going into it, she had no idea, none. It blindsided her, you know, that he
Yeah, she.
was bad with money. He was just bad with money and
Yeah,
made some
yeah.
really bad investments, and was still making them even in their marriage. And so it
And
kinda
Yeah,
so,
those habitual habits started in the relationship, though, that she just didn't see through euphoria and other things like that. So he was making those bad financial decisions inside the relationship, which once again got magnified by a trillion inside the marriage. And that's why it's important to ask those things, because maybe what if she would have asked him a pinpoint question or realized his financial bad habits? They talked about it, and he was humble enough to let her help him. He's like, "Look, I'm bad with money, yada yada yada," and she was like, "Well, babe, I love you, and I want to help you in this situation." And you never know. Maybe she helps him, and he adheres to her advice, and the problem's not even a thing inside the marriage because it got solved prior to.
I know, because 'cause it'd be a benefit. That would be a benefit to the marriage.
so I have a question. Why do you think people ignore red flags? Why do you think we do that when we see it? What is it about us that, I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I want to see what you guys think. Why do people ignore red flags?
I think love. I think they don't wanna see them. They don't. They don't. They wanna be in love. They want to not be lonely. And some people will do anything not to be lonely, not to be alone, you
I
know?
will say for African women, I will say this, and I've noticed in my culture, not just South African, but just African woman, period. To be married is a big deal. And they
Mhm.
will stay in a marriage where they are miserable, where the man's cheating, where he's beating you, all these things. And I think that contributed to my staying in my marriage so long. Um, but I had a more of Americanized mindset because I'd been here for so long, right?
Mhm.
But they just want to say they have a husband, but absolutely miserable, and they
Wow.
will take that to the grave and have this front. And I keep thinking like we have one life. There's no do overs, right?
Come on.
None.
Exactly.
And we live in these spaces that because our family saying, well, you better not do this. I remember, y'all, I had gone to South Africa in 2017 and my mom was in the hospital. And before I left, I said to her mom, I'm not happy at all. Like, and she said, Rabia, you have to stay. You have children. And so I came back to the States with this new resolve, like, I'm going to make this work. And like you can try and try and try, but if the other person's not participating, it is not going to work. You know what I mean? Because no one gets married for all that length of time to get divorced. You don't go into it. So I asked myself, like, why did I choose that partner? Right now, granted, I wasn't a Christian when I chose who I chose. Um, and really, I chose from a wounded place. That's why people ignore red flags. It looks like roses. A lot of times we have these butterflies in our bellies. It's not butterflies, baby. It's anxiety, actually. Okay. It's not butterflies. No, I'm serious. If I meet somebody and I'm instantaneously attracted to them, I say, wait a minute, something's wrong. Because that is anxiety. And then I start picking up, oh, that's what it is. So I need to work in a certain area. Do you see what I'm saying? We
Mhm.
don't do this check to say, okay, I see this red flag. It's not a damn rose. I need to turn into myself. Let me read one comment, guys. Hold on. Hey, Mika. We don't see them, unfortunately, because we are trying to beat clock and stigma that comes, girl, I can't see, that comes along with not having a husband. Unfortunately, but it happens. You're right. Um, yeah, people sometimes in a hurry. And I mean, African women have this so bad. Like I saw so many things when I was at home, and then you hear so many stories, and then the reason why they get married. Like I have a family member right now that's planning a wedding, right? And she's getting married because she's trying to leave a situation, not because she really wants to. She likes the guy, and I'm like, this sounds so familiar. Like, and I keep telling her, baby, don't do it, don't do it, because. And I met the guy, and I'm like, mm-mm. But when people make up their mind, they're gonna make up their mind. And then when you've been divorced and you're single, they tell you that you're bitter. I'm not bitter. I can see where you're going because I've been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you try to advise people, and they think because you're single, you just don't want them to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. I'd rather be by myself now. Now, granted, I see the benefits of marriage. I think if you choose differently when you're older, you know differently, right? You're not choosing from your loins. Um, and I like what Brian said about friendship. I think that's so important. And I think having someone that could make you laugh and make yourself see yourself not so serious. I know for me that's important. I can't be with somebody like me. That won't work. We both be crunk. Like I can't have that. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Did
let
you
me.
just say we both be crunk?
Exactly.
Okay, Ivan Dawkins says finances are not a huge factor for some men because we are financially stable. True, there are financial benefits that occur naturally. However, her credit score means more to me than her salary. I could care less if she works at Taco Bell. I care how she cares for me. I care how she makes financial decisions with the salary she has. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Most men think exactly like that. So it works. It works opposite though. Most women, yeah, and that most could be 51%. Most women want a man who most women would not choose if they had to choose the manager at Taco Bell or the cashier at Taco Bell. Let's just say a man was down on his luck for some reason and he had to get a job at Taco Bell. And he was humble about it, but he's stood strong in his cashier place and worked and was on and made an honest living, and he was a great man. Most women would pass him up because they associate cashier at Taco Bell with not making a lot of money. But men think opposite of that. Men think, well, as long as I'm attracted to her and she's good for me and yada yada. That whole Taco Bell thing, who cares about that? Because I can help her get out of that. I can help her, if you will, get better from that. And if her credit score sucks, okay, well, I can help her from that. So I get exactly what he's saying, and I'm not saying that all women and all men think like that. I'm just saying that is the overall generality between the two. And I mean, if from what you were saying earlier, people ignore red flags like what Kim was saying, and then even what the young lady had commented, that euphoria, that lust, and that relevancy, when those three things kick in, and when I say relevancy, I'm talking about things like, let's just say a person was always had friends who were all in relationships, and every time they went to a place with
Yeah.
their friends, they
Hmm.
were the lone ranger.
Hmm.
It is like that young lady said, or that lady said, hey, they rushed that timetable. Hey, now I get to show my person now I get to bring somebody, and when that lust, a lot of times people think it's love, but it's lust, and then that euphoria and that relevancy, when those things kick in, people think one thing and one thing only: I can change that red flag.
And you can't.
I can change it.
Mm.
No matter what it is, I can change it. If they just do this and do that and do this and do that, well, and I can help them with this. And they start putting all of their imagination starts running wild on what they could do for another person. And that once people figure that out, that you can't change anybody, I know people in relationships right now
Mm.
that keep going to therapy because they think that therapy is going to change that person. They're not trying to necessarily get better from therapy. They're trying to have therapy as a vehicle of changing the other person, right? Like it's an alternative forcing. Instead of going, hey, we're going to therapy together. I'm going to get better and you're going to get better. That's an agreement internally from both of us so the whole can be better. It's more like, no, we're going to therapy because you're going to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to change because once you change, no, 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 no. No one's going to, not even God can make you change. He can
Facts.
persuade you to, he can lead you to, but if he wanted to make us all change, he'd make us all do what we'd be robots,
Yeah, right.
right?
We have no
We'd
free
be
will.
robots.
Personal choice.
We
Personal choice. Right.
exactly, and like in the scenario with the guy, he literally, I read at the bottom, he says, "I'm building up a relationship in my mind."
You
Once again,
sure as well.
that
Mhm.
imagination that looks like it won't happen. I'm sick and tired of being down. I'm at the point I need someone. Nothing else is filling the void.
Mhm.
He, if he was dating someone, he'd ignore every single red flag possible.
Mhm.
Because like Robbie said earlier, from the time his ex-wife or his wife did him a favor and
Mhm.
committed adultery and start going with someone else, therefore leading up to a divorce. Once she left him, whatever time that was right here to the time that he hooked up with his 33-year-old, he should have been working on himself,
Yeah,
right?
and then it was said the man's 49. He's 49, sir.
Right. But
49. Like you
but
are in the second half of your life. And that to me is a tragedy when somebody is that old. And so, honestly, sometimes people just don't know. No one's ever told them.
well,
They
that's
don't have self-awareness. Because I mean, think about it. A lot of the things we've learned because we saw somebody doing it. You got to think about his childhood. I always go back to the foundation. Think about the childhood. Think about the people that he's around. He probably is not around people that are positive or uplifting or whatever.
Mhm.
That's why he. So, I mean, because let's be serious. Somebody in his circle should have said something about the wife by now.
they probably did though. So here's something that I have been, it's a motto that I've heard that I have been trying to pick apart. Like, I'm a very analytical person. I love human behavior. And when I hear something, I try to find kinks in the armor before I apply it to my personal mantra. But
Mm-hmm.
this saying said, it's, you are not who you think you are. You are not who you believe to be. You are what you practice.
Mm.
And this guy has been practicing being with a woman, trying to change her, not listening to his friends, being in an abusive relationship mentally, and all of this stuff for 20 years. So getting out of that, he is what he's been practicing. Whatever you have been practicing, that's exactly who you are, not anything else. Now, of course, I'm not trying to make an absolute when I say that,
He can
but
change.
that is more so. So like you said, he's 49 and that's a big problem. Well, yeah, it is, because for the last 20 years, not including how long they were in a relationship and how long they were dating, he's been practicing putting himself in a very toxic situation. He's been practicing lowering his self-love. He's been practicing even small angles of depression, because he just didn't get depressed when she left. He was already depressed inside the relationship, right?
Right.
So
Because she was
all of
crazy.
these things that he kept practicing over this 20-year marriage, boom, that's exactly who he is when he left the marriage.
Okay, let me read
Let
Mika's points. Mika says, great point, B. Jones. I've heard that so many times. And then she said, you're what you practice. That's good. That is very good. You are what you put. Kind of like you are what you eat.
Yeah, you
Um,
have to realize too, the girl is 33, and I'm sure she looks good. And he's what?
yeah,
49, so she's young. I'm sure
and
he
she got more
that's an
sense.
appeal. That's an appeal to him.
You
And
know what?
I'm
She
sure
got
she
more
is
sense
probably, yes, and I'm sure she's probably like, I don't want to be with you, but
because you're
you're
crazy
nice.
too.
You're
No,
crazy. But
you
you know
too
what?
needy.
You have a good conversation. I'll be your friend. And I'm sure she's probably just not being, telling him up front.
Now
because
she's talking to him and the entire Dallas Metroplex. That's what she's doing.
Yeah. Well,
exactly
she said
33. Come
it
on.
says I tried asking what she is looking for. She doesn't say anything. Okay, well,
There's your
done,
answer.
done,
No,
done. And Kim
no,
brought
he
up a
doesn't
great
want
point.
to.
I'm sorry.
He
Go ahead.
doesn't
Go
want
ahead.
to lose that relationship he has with her. He
Yeah, and
either
Kim,
hold, but really, if anybody came, he would hang on to them. It's not
anybody.
honestly,
You're
she's
right.
not special.
You're
She's
right.
really not
You're right.
special. She's just giving him an ear, and so he's like, "Okay, this is the next ear. Let me latch onto this." No, she's not special, really. She's
No,
just filling
not
that
one
void
bit.
for now. I mean,
She's 33.
yeah, she's a
That's a
baby.
good point because a lot of men who have that big distance, that's a 16-year difference. He may be in that mindset that he can groom her, that he
Yes,
can change her.
exactly.
That's
That
a trap.
she doesn't know everything that he does, and if he he finally gets her and boom fills this void, that he can change her like he tried. Of course he tried to change his wife. I mean, he's gonna
Yeah,
try to
that
change
didn't
her.
work. She
But
had to end up believing him.
I also want to say
Yes.
something else. I have 3 girls, and so I was listening, about the Taco Bell thing. About so I'm always thinking of my girls and who they're going to marry and the men they're going to marry. And I would not mind if they married someone that is a manager of a Taco Bell or Whataburger, as long as he does not operate in poverty. That's the only thing I will
I know
not.
why you're saying that because when you go to Taco Bell and you see the cashiers, what are they? A lot of them are unkept, but a lot of them, I mean, I've seen that. That's why I would not tell my daughter, hey, go for the one at Taco Bell. But this is okay. This is
But
I need
I'm
to
just saying, I just will
I
not let
feel
my
you.
daughters marry someone who
Yeah,
is operating in poverty, because that right there is a disaster for marriage. I'm
and
telling
it's a
you.
Yes,
spirit.
it
Yeah.
And
is. And that poverty, what most people don't understand is it's not that people are operating in poverty because of the money that they make. It's people
No.
are operating in poverty is because they spend more than they make.
Yeah.
You
That's a
could have someone who
mindset.
makes $100,000, and if you live beyond your means,
That's
you're going to be living in poverty.
that's a mindset. It is
it
a
Yeah,
is.
mindset.
yeah.
Okay, guys, I need to segue into something else. We're gonna play Sybil Wilkes, What You Need to Know. It's for a couple minutes, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. Guys, I've enjoyed you guys. Like this is such a good I think we need a part two. You think so?
Yes.
We need a part two. Brian, you gonna join us again? Say yes.
I'm gonna
Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is He has black hair and brown eyes. For more information, please visit blackandmissinginc.com. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Even the fondest memories fade. Continue to create new ones. Inhale joy. Exhale regret. Whew. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central for the one and only Myra J., Stephen Hill, and activist Quinn Townsend Riley as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybylWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
So thank you, Sybil, for that update. We appreciate you. So Brian, I'm so sorry. You said
Oh no, I'm charging a Studio Movie Grill gift card, $10 gift card to come back.
I got
That's
you.
bribery, and blackmail.
No, we'd like for you to be a permanent guest. I know we talked about this before, and I know you said that it depends on your schedule. So I would like you to take this before the Lord. And
Take for the Lord. Yes, do that.
Take it before the Lord. Yes.
Yeah, it's just according to my schedule, but I enjoy being on here. It's a really good podcast.
Yeah, we'd like you to join
Yay.
us. So Kim, since you the one, honey, that's been married for 25 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's such a blessing. What would you tell people out here in 30 seconds?
Marriage is not easy. I would say that it's a lot of compromise. It's a lot of forgiveness. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot in a lot of inward looking, outward looking, because you're not trying to change that person, but you're trying to understand them. And no person, when you first get married to them, 10 years later is going to be that same person that you married to them. It's just not possible. People change. And so you want to have a healthy marriage. I believe that you want to kind of continue to grow in the same way, because it's so easy to grow apart in a marriage, especially when you have children and they grow up, and to find that commonality, and that love. And I think that you always have to reinvent that over and over and over again. I know that I do find reasons that I love William. You know what I'm saying? Not just what he did from, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but in the 25-year mark, finding things, because he is ever changing, and so am I. And yeah. Marriage is hard. I tell my daughters that, because kids look at TV and they think they watch a 30-minute sitcom and think that's life. And it's like, no, love is not like that, y'all. It's not like that. You don't disagree and then it's okay in 30 minutes. That's not reality. But
so what about going to bed angry? I know I've heard married couples say that they never go to bed angry. Is this realistic? Is this realistic, honey?
We try to do that. It doesn't, I can't say it's happened 100% of the time, but we try to keep that. I mean, it does, get to the meat of it before you lay down. One thing me and William will not do, and that's sleep in separate bedrooms. I don't care how angry we are at each other, or how mad we are. We don't separate. So, or go sleep on the couch. I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. No, we don't do that. So.
No, that's cool.
But we try to keep to that. Don't go to bed angry. It really is a good rule of thumb for marriages, I think. So sometimes it can't be helped. Sometimes you just look, I don't want to.
I don't like you today.
No, I don't.
Why are you breathing? No, guys, I enjoyed this. I think we need to do part 2. And to our guests out here, we cannot wait to see you next time. As you know, life is not about perfection, but about progression. Why? Because life happens. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Life happens. Let it happen to you this week.
It's Sybil Wilkes with What You Need to Know. Today is Wednesday, March 30th.